Faps and are also afraid people. Everybody who was at NAMCC, you obviously saw all.
Behen NMACC. Nita Mukesh Ambani.
Jealous me, you spelled it wrong.
Okay. Blame it on someone else.
She wrote it
Love
wrong.
it.
Actually, wrong. NMACC. I did not read it right, but nevertheless. But did you catch all the action the way all of us did on Instagram and Twitter and
Of
everywhere else?
course, I was supposed to be there in person, but I was all like, I cannot handle this amount of like
Imagine if you had
humanity
gone.
around me.
You could have met Gigi.
Oh my God, yes. That would have been actually great, and I would have been able to meet Zendaya.
Yes.
Zendaya, she's
Jendia,
so stunning.
Jendia.
She's so stunning. But tell me your little paparazzi rant slash thread that you
No, no.
found.
So first, let's talk about the gala. I think the gala deserves credit for just generally, and we spoke about this
Claps,
earlier, right? Just
applause.
like the way it looked, the way it was done. It was, someone actually tweeted us today morning saying this is almost like everybody forgot there was a Dior show in India.
Yeah,
And it's almost like you putting India center stage. You have, you got people from all over the world to kind of come in for it. My favorite was when Priyanka Chopra and Nick Jonas were on the red carpet and a pap, and Nick Jonas goes aside and the pap was like Jija Ji Sharma ge. There is there was the quintessential moment for me was when that happened, but I think very well done. I mean, whoever's kind of seen the exhibits, and I've had a bunch of friends, and I know you've had a bunch of friends who've gone there
yeah.
doing this thing, and just saw the photos, and full props to Diet Sabya for kind of really showing all the exhibits the way they did, and really, I mean, you got a lot of info about it. Definitely want to go see it. But what for me was great to see is you're seeing a venue like this really kind of prop up, right? We always
Yeah.
had we always got excited by looking at international venues, and all our venues seem to be slightly more scaled down, slightly bit more oh, it's we in a different scale of things. But this
Yeah.
was genuinely like you look at this thing one second. This is Broadway. This is so many things, but very desi in essence. So full props for how this was done, and I'm excited to go see the place.
Also, such a well crafted launch. I mean, there's so
Yeah,
many people who've attempted spaces like this, right? Like, I think
yeah,
Bizcraft had a space, I'm forgetting what it's called, in Gurgaon, which was a Kingdom of Dreams, which was
yeah,
supposed to be exactly this, right? Like a convention center for all things culture, art,
yeah,
and
yeah,
more. But I feel like if there's any family in India that actually has a money to back up,
yeah,
patronage, it is the Ambanis, man. And
yeah,
agree with you, this is money well spent.
yeah. And the other interesting part about this whole thing was there's a thread that kind of came up on Twitter by Abhishek Bot. It's at the rate Manic Monday, Mande. And he actually spoke about how the entire, because someone tweeted saying, "My eyes need a break from Viral, Manav, Yogen, and Wumpla," because all of us
Hmm.
were also like on those pages. And he spoke about
Yeah.
how this entire, this online pap piece kind of happened,
Hmm.
and how in the 90s and early 2000s, and actually it gave me a flashback to some of the stuff which we did in the early days of Glitch, even in 2010. Most of these guys would just be like standalone stringers with like cameras who would go to every single red carpet and take footage and sell them. Like I remember we were producing a show for Channel V in the early days of Glitch, and we needed footage. You used to have those e-news kind of shows. Like voiceover was underneath, and you'd have yeah, and you just show footage on top, and you
Yeah.
would go into these really like I want to like small gullies and one random house where that guy has like one TV and a lot of CDs. You're running through CDs to figure out what footage and what clips you need, and
Yeah.
he would burn that all onto one CD. For young people, CDs were things we had before hard disks became a thing.
Yeah.
um, and that's how they used to function. To today, they run everything. The entire thing is run by them, and I think the interesting part, which Abhishek talks about in this thread, which everybody should read, it's a great, like he's written it really in a very interesting way, is that they would already try and sell their images and photographs and stuff like that to your tabloids, so Mumbai Mirror, etc. And they had to kind of wait for an editor to like even see them and take their photographs. But it evolved into a scenario where they actually realized that not everybody's going to buy the same footage. So they started going to places where they knew actors and celebrities were going. So a Bastion is a restaurant where people
Yeah.
go, or the
So popular.
airport,
Yeah.
and all these places. So it started becoming that. But how do you kind of scale and get employees? They actually found people who were just fans who wanted to anyway stand outside and look at celebrities. They just gave them a camera and just take footage. Also, I'll maybe give you some money, and that's how
Hmm.
the Paps became the Paps, because how you saw them everywhere. That they're there. To today, all the tabloids are dead, and these guys today, for you to be featured, if you're a newcomer, there are many newcomers who actually pay them to be
Hmm.
featured on their Instagram accounts and channels and stuff like that. So how the tables have turned, and how they pretty much like they're running the entire narrative. Like how what people are wearing to the airport,
Yeah.
to take a flight, because you've seen it on Wumpla or on Viral
Yep.
Bayani's post. So it's a great. I mean, just think about how things change in the matter of like a decade, from being just like, can you buy something from me, to saying, I own this.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think, one part of it obviously is the mainstreamization of PAPs. I think the one thing that I'll say is I find them to be reasonably respectful.
Yeah,
Like
most of
American
them are.
PAPs are horrendous.
Yeah,
English PAPs, if you
the
are on
worst,
Team Meghan and Harry, are like the worst.
worst.
But I generally find Indian PAPs to be pretty, you know what I mean? Like they
Yeah,
seem
yeah.
like nice, sweet guys, man.
Yeah, because they're all like chill, regular. And again, they're all fans, right? At the end of the
Yeah.
day, I feel there is an equation that actors
Hmm.
have, and you actually see that. I feel the fun part for me is to watch some of these videos where one Pap is outside Saif Ali Khan's house, and Saif's like, bedroom mein aa jao na tum, yahan tak aa
Hmm.
gaya to," and everyone's
Hmm.
laughing, and they're laughing, he's laughing, and they all like go their separate ways.
Yeah.
It's just that relationship.
And it's also
And
sweet things like after shadis, they'll bring laddus and they'll give it
yeah,
to all the paps and
yeah.
stuff like that.
And we saw the video of Sunil Shetty, and I forget his son's name. When the KL Rahul Athiya Shetty wedding was happening, they kind of came, met all the paps, told them, okay, they're going to be here, they're going to be coming there, I'm going to give you all this stuff. So it's almost like it was a briefing for all the paps, and
Hmm.
all the paps are saying, ha ha ha, over there, right? So I agree. I feel that apart from the Alia Bhatt incident that happened, which I
Which
felt
was what?
was she was in the balcony of her house, and someone got into a building next door and took footage of her, and came online, and she was like, dude, I'm in my
Chill
house.
out. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
which is
That's not
which is
cool.
which, yeah, that wasn't cool. But in general, I agree, they seem to be a lot more respectful, and most of them have I mean, the PR and the managers of most celebs have these teams on WhatsApp. So this is a lot of this also gets coordinated.
That is true. You have all the insider access.